The Lives Behind the Loans. Just for now, just for a moment, if you would be so kind to indulge, I would like to ramble a bit, to reflect on that which I love and that which I loathe. A faithful observer's scattered notes on the stories, elements, and hideous beauty that make me quiver and rejoice and cry at the awe that is this industry I call home. Like the construction worker who ambled into my office donned in a hard hat and steel-toed boots, wanting to make his mortgage payment with cash, 43 $20 bills to be exact. Some of the 20s were as dirty as his shirt and boots. He counted out $860 to make good with his monthly commitment to the bank, albeit 4 payments behind. "Work has been tight, and it's the best I can do," he says. "It's all we can ask of you," I reply. Or the ferocity of the curly-haired woman who threw such a fit in my office, I don't know that I or my assistant will ever see such a glorious display of rage again for as long as we all shall live. Oscar-worthy was she. Or the warm, smiling, and overly animated Iranian guy who told me his story with such zest and passion, I just didn't have the heart to tell him I hadn't understood a single word he said. Not one. I just did my best to mirror his smile and nodded each time he took a well-deserved breath. Or the faint smell of food and wine on the tax returns telling me the home and culinary habits of my would-be clients. Or the way the last page of a credit report reveals a client's former employers, even if one of those employers was a special kind of club frequented by gentlemen. "Marie," I said, unable to contain my devilish grin. "Oh my God," she says, covering her face with both hands. Or the second worst call I've ever received in my working years informing me her husband, my client, a wonderful and humble man, couldn't take the financial stress anymore. "Oh, Matt, he did it. He really did. He's gone. Oh my God, he's gone. What am I going to do?" I listened to her cry and plead for answers. I didn't know what to say. There is no script for this call. She asked me to be a pallbearer at his service. I accepted without hesitation. Or the look of distrust smeared across the face of the client who had a not-so-pleasant experience during his last dance of the mortgage mambo. "But that wasn't me," I plead. "You're all cut from the same cloth," he fires back. Or the fiancée a week from her Hawaiian wedding who learned her future husband had not only recently sown his wild oats, but had a doctor's note to prove it. Her heart broken. Her earnest money gone. Or the recently widowed mother of 4 who called to ask what needed to be done now that her far too young husband had succumbed to melanoma because she doesn't know what to do. After all, he handled all the bills, she said softly. Speechless was I. Or the know-it-all client who, despite having never bought a home in his 27 years on this planet, explained to me in painstaking detail how exactly this process was going to go, and I was left with no option but to shut him up by breathlessly regurgitating every fancy-sounding industry term and mind-boggling acronym I could come up with. "Well, Corey, I think your plan is a good one, but we'll want to be sensitive to the CLTV on your NOO so that the secondary market, Fannie and Freddie, will accept a loan with a tight DTI and a questionable FICO, and should it all go through, you will eventually want to brush up on the nuances of a 1031 exchange." Speechless was he. Or the good-looking couple, straight off the cover of Power Couples of the Northwest, who were so excited about the loan approval of their dream home, prompting the husband to bear-hug his wife, prompting her to let out the cutest toot I think I have ever heard in all my toot-hearing days. Or the faithful husband and doting father of 2 who learned, the hard way, his beautiful wife, the amazing mother of his 2 children, preferred the company of another woman, and he would now need to go it alone, in financing a home and living his life. He called me to talk about loans. We didn't talk about loans. We talked about confusion and sadness. Or the faithful wife and doting mother of 2 who learned the hard way, her husband would need to go to rehab and every last dime of their equity would need to be extracted out of the family home in order to pay for his treatment so that he, husband, father, and friend to many, could get better. Or the fledgling realtor whose license had been freshly printed and called 3 times a day, every day, to check the status of his first sale. Or the haunting sadness of the divorcing husband who sent a bouquet of flowers to his estranged wife on the day that should have been, 29 years of holy matrimony. She didn't thank him for those flowers. She didn't call to wish him a happy anniversary despite the bumpy road they were traveling down. He called me the very next day and said it was time to move forward. It was time to move on. He cried when he told me. I told him I was sorry. And when we hung up, I cried too. Or the high-stakes game of rock, paper, scissors my assistant and I play to determine which one of us will have to call the real estate agent and inform her the appraisal has come in under value on her client's home. Paper covers rock, Angela, says I. Best 2 out of 3, says she. Or the anticipatory look of sheer terror in the eyes of the young couple as the printer whirls to life and spits out a 12-page credit report revealing, in intimate detail, every financial foible and monetary misstep they have ever made in their imperfect journey along the road of life. Or the flurry of foul language the buyer's agent lets fly when he calls to tell me the client has gone on and bought a Fizbo after driving his ass all over Clark County for the past 2 months. If it were possible to give sympathetic hugs over the phone, I would. Or the collage of glamour shots, headshots, and overpriced photo shots that adorn the glossy pages of the real estate book. The catchy phrases and alliteration of surnames in hopes that cleverness may sway the fence-sitting buyer, said the guy whose last 4 digits of his cell phone spells Matt. Or the way a client's eyes light up when they realize we have a connection with our Alaskan roots. Oh, you're from Alaska. Do you know so-and-so? They ask. Of course, I say. It's Alaska. Or the worst phone call I have ever received, and ever will receive, from a shattered mother, client, and longtime friend who lost 5 of her 6 children in the split second of an unthinkable act. It's been almost 2 years, and I still think about that call nearly every day. Or the ferociously aqua-colored blazer bedazzled with a shiny gold pendant letting everyone in the grocery store know, boy howdy, this woman sells real estate, and how. Or the goosebump-inducing phone call that ends with the client telling you unquestionably, unequivocally, undeniably, yes, I will work with you. Or the gut-wrenching phone call that ends with a client telling you unquestionably, unequivocally, undeniably, no, I choose not to work with you. Or the awkward intimacy of the oversharing client who fills my ear with details so crystal clear I feel the need to hit the nearest drive-through confessional. Or the awkward jostling and forced smiles at a BIA event or some other industry mixer where the brazen extroverts and the occasional introvert convene in a hotel banquet room to network, drink, and feign laughter and interest at the inane jokes and conversations of this awkward industry do-si-do. Or the uncontainable excitement the missus shows on her face when the right home finally appears from the fog of listings, telling every man, woman, child, and living creature that yes, this is the house we will buy, this is the house where my children will be raised, this is the home where barbecues will fill the neighborhood with the most succulent aroma ever inhaled. Last week was a bad week. 4 appraisals came in low, 3 loans couldn't make the credit cut, 2 clients opted to wait and see what prices do this winter, and 1 wealthy hoarder of hundreds had the audacity to pay cash for his home. But I love my job, and I suspect many of those who wear the badge of realtor and builder and loan officer and escrow officer and appraiser and the like would say the same thing. These jobs, these careers, they are stuffed with stories, yes? For this reason, for these wonderfully unique tales, some of them painful, others poignant, and all of them in some way precious, I love my job. I love how a seemingly singular function, loaning money, can bubble a brew of story so vast, so different, so unique, all within the confines of the age-old real estate industry. And for all the bad days gently sprinkled throughout these 15 years of hawking loans, I am filled with an unwavering optimism that the good days, and there have been some very good days, will prevail. Of this, I am certain.